Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Jessica Faissal. I am a dietitian from Lebanon, currently living in New York. I specialize in sports nutrition, and today we will be talking about eating healthy at low cost. And I'll be also taking some questions at the end of this session. I'm happy to answer them. So let me start. If you have anything, you can also post it in the chat as well. We're going to start about talking about how we can eat a nutritious diet while keeping our grocery bill low. So we all know that cheap foods are usually unhealthy, and it's a bit challenging to find healthier foods at an affordable cost. However, I'm going to share easy and healthy, however, don't cost us a lot. So such as eggs, vegetables, plant-based sources of grain sources of proteins. So I'm going to start talking about eggs. Eggs is one of the healthiest foods we can have, and it's also very cheap. We can use it in different meals from breakfast, lunch, dinner. A lot of people have been afraid of eating a lot of eggs for high cholesterol reasons. However, studies are showing that eating one egg yolk per day would not increase your blood cholesterol. Eggs are also low in fat, contain a lot of nutrients, and they make a good meal. Hi, Jimmy. Great. So the second healthy food that I'm going to talk about is beans. Beans could be black beans, garbanzo beans, pinto beans. All of these are very, very healthy, and at the same time, they're very inexpensive. So people can choose them canned, and they contain the same benefits as well. You can use different meals from soups, salads, chilies, and a lot of other recipes. Beans is also very important in the Lebanese and Mediterranean diet. So that's something we can all rely on to get. The food is hummus. I'm sure a lot of us love hummus. It is used in a lot of, it's not just by itself. We can have it in sandwiches as a spread. So it's made of canned chickpeas. It's very easy to make at home and much healthier than buying the store ones. And it's also great for the vegan and vegetarian diet. So that's something I highly recommend. You can also add some spice to it to change the flavor. The next food will be lentils. So lentils is also a very cheap source of protein, and they don't take so to cook like beans. Looking to make something very quick, I would recommend the green ones. You can make them in mjadara. Mjadara is a very popular Lebanese dish that's made with rice and some onions. It's a complete source of protein for us as well, and very affordable and easy to make. So the next one will be peanuts. So peanuts are very inexpensive as well. They're an easy snack to take with us wherever we go. They're rich in healthy fats. They're healthy for the heart, and they're also a good source of protein. The only thing we need to pay attention to is they are high in calories. So make sure to have a smaller portion of nuts per day. That would be a good amount. So you can eat them boiled, salted. You can add them to your salads and just simply as a snack. The next one is carbs. So as we know, there's a lot of good carbs and bad carbs. Good carbs are usually the complex one that we find in whole grains, or in Arabic, it's the amha kamle. In brown rice, potatoes, legumes, they're all good carbs. However, the bad ones include everything that's made with refined sugar, high fructose corn syrup, processed grain. And these are the carbs that we should avoid in general. So like I would recommend staying away from cookies, convenient foods, crackers, and chips, even though these could be very cheap at times, especially when we're shopping in the supermarket. I would recommend buying like toast, rice cakes. These are the better carbs. The next carb I'm going to talk about is brown rice. I would recommend choosing brown rice over white rice, mainly for the fiber content. You would feel a lot fuller eating the brown rice versus the white one. It contains about the same calories. However, it has a lot more vitamins as well. Blood sugar levels the same way. And you can use it on its own as a side dish or as a basis for a casserole, chicken and broccoli. So very easy to make. Is pasta. So I'm sure a lot of people rely on pasta for a lot of meals. It's one of the easiest carbs you can do. And however, we have to pay attention to how much pasta we're eating at every meal. So I would also choose whole grain pasta over white pasta, even though the cost is slightly more, but in general, it's not really expensive. It can be the basis for a lot of healthy meals because you can mix it with vegetables, with chicken, or by itself. You can add tuna to it. So it's super easy and filling as a meal. So I would definitely recommend it. You can have it around 3 to 4 times a week, but pay attention to how much you're eating. So I would say for women, try to have like 1 cup of cooked pasta per day. Men can have up to 2 cups. Of course, try to mix them with as many vegetables and protein as you can to make it less calorie rich. And I would also recommend choosing different grains in your diet. So don't rely on just rice or pasta. So try to mix both. You can also include potatoes. So you can cycle every 2 days. Try to choose 1 carb over the other because each one has different fiber contents and different vitamins and minerals. So quinoa can also be a great source of carbs. They contain some protein. You can choose green peas. Green peas are also very rich in fiber and also contain healthy carbs. So as I said, try to avoid the high fructose corn syrup in anything that you buy, and especially in cookies and breads. Oatmeal, I would say, is also a great source of carbs. You can have for breakfast or even as dinner. It's much healthier than having cereal because it's lower in processed sugar. And you can mix it with a lot of fruit, some peanut butter, or even milk or yogurt. The next food I'll be talking about is a very popular fat in Lebanon or the Middle Eastern area, which is olive oil. Olive oil is very healthy, very necessary for our diet. It has no saturated fats or trans fats, which are the bad fats to the heart. And we can mix it with everything. You can put it with the salads or over beans. So, however, the only recommendation I have is to measure how much oil you're having in your diet, just to avoid weight gain. So 1 teaspoon per meal to 2 would be ideal. And don't have more than 4 teaspoons of oil per day. That's just to maintain your weight. One snack that I'm going to mention that's very budget friendly is popcorn. So I know a lot of people rely on chips for like snacking, especially salty snacks. Popcorn is a very healthy snack, especially the ones that you make at home, not the microwave ones. I would say put them in a large bowl, cover them with a plate and heat it on high until the popping stops. You can make them in a paper bag as well. Don't add too much salt, of course, to avoid increasing your blood pressure. And skip the butter. That way you can make it as healthy as you can. You can also add some spices to that, and that would make it a lot more flavorful. So popcorn is a great source of fiber. It is low in fat and has a lot of benefits. The next thing I'll mention is vegetables. Of course, everybody needs to eat as many vegetables as they can every single day. Sometimes it's a bit challenging given that we have busy schedules. However, try to include vegetables in every meal that you have, whether it's frozen, it's cooked. That way you can eat more, you can have more vitamins and nutrients and also decrease the unhealthy calories that you have with the main meal. So vegetables reduce our risk of a lot of diseases, from heart disease to diabetes to cancer. They're the best sources of vitamins that we need every day. They're low in fat and calories, so that's the easiest way to lose weight, by eating more vegetables. And they're not really expensive depending on the season. So if you're buying them in, like, let's say now is the season for pumpkins, so try to buy those in season instead of buying them like in spring. That way you can save more money on it. Sweet potatoes versus regular potatoes. So I would say it's great to mix both. Don't rely on one kind of potatoes, since each one has a lot of benefits. They're both high antioxidants, and they contain a lot of vitamins. Especially sweet potatoes contain a lot of vitamin A. They contain fiber and vitamin C. They're low in fat, not high in calories, and you can also add them to a lot of stews and soups. I would say you can have up to 2 potatoes per meal. That way you're not eating too many carbs as well. Of course, we're going to talk about fruit. So the best way to eat your fruit is eating them whole and not in juices. So fruits are one of the big building blocks of a healthy diet. Even though they contain sugar, it is the good sugar to the body, and it's not similar to the sugar that's found in cookies, for example. It acts differently on the body than high fructose corn syrup. Fruit contains a lot of beneficial nutrients like fiber, antioxidants, and the easiest way like to have a fruit is like an apple, banana, a pear. So those are easy fruits to eat that don't need they don't need prior preparation or cutting, all of that. So of course, try to buy the fruit in season. That's also the best way to save more money. So for some of us, if they're not fully vegetarians, I'm sure we all want to add some meat to our diet. So try to rely on the meat that contains no fat, of course. If you can get chicken breast, that's much healthier than getting the whole chicken. So that should not exceed 20% of our daily calories as well. And an example of a serving size of meat would be 90 grams, which is the size of my palm. So that's how much meat you should be having per meal. So as I said, chicken breasts are usually better than thighs because they contain much better protein and less fat. You can chop them, add them to your salads or with rice, with pasta. So they're very versatile and easy to make. I'm sure a lot of us consume tuna on a weekly or monthly basis. So tuna is a great source of protein. It has good fats, low in fat. Try not to mix it with mayonnaise, however. You can use mustard, some balsamic, add as many seasonings as you can to make it more tasty. You can add it to pasta and corn in the salad. So the first part of my presentation now is over. I'm going to talk about shopping healthy, how to shop healthy in supermarket. So the easiest tip is to buy in bulk. So try not to buy like 1 or 2 items from each like shopping item that you have. So try to buy, let's say, a big bag of rice, 1 to 2 liters of oil. That way you can have more at home. You're more tempted to cook more. And these are stuff that don't go to waste very quickly. And the same thing goes for cooking. So try not to cook for 1 meal. Like try to make a meal that will last you 2 to 3 days. That way you avoid wasting your time cooking. And at the same time, you will not have to throw away food that you have in the fridge. And you can also use some items from the night before to make a different meal. For example, if you had some leftover chicken, you can make it the next day with rice instead of potatoes. So that's something you can also do. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, you don't always need to buy them fresh. So I would recommend choosing them frozen at times in order to cut down on costs. And you're also having a similar amount of vitamins in frozen ones as well. So the cheapest sources also of carbs are usually grains. You can buy like whole grain bread. You can buy rice, brown rice, as I said, potatoes. So those are the easy carbs to keep at home that don't cost a lot, especially legumes like beans and lentils, chickpeas as well. Meat, you can try to buy a small portion per week or 2 weeks in case you want to make a stew. So that way you're not cooking most of your meals with meat. You can just use it as a side thing to your to the legumes. One thing I would like to mention is to never buy salad dressings. That's something that's also quite popular in the US. So try to make your own dressing at home. First of all, it's much healthier. It doesn't contain any additives, and it's also much cheaper, especially if you're making a dressing with olive oil, vinegar, salt and pepper, the most basic one. You can also choose mustard or like you can do lime and salt and oil. That's one of the easiest dressings you can make for your salads. So try to also season your food as much as you can. Most of the restaurant foods taste good because they're added with a lot of salt. So try not to use as much salt at home. Instead, rely on peppers, on herbs. That way you're avoiding increasing your blood pressure. However, you're making your food taste a lot better. And try to also use a lot of onions, garlic. Those are one of the healthiest sources of antioxidants to add to your diet. One more thing I would like to mention is to replace your sodas and juices with water. Not only you're going to be saving a lot of money, you're also saving yourself a lot of sugar. So water is free, at least in most parts of the world. Sugar drinks, they offer no nutritional advantage. They increase your diabetes risk and they increase also your waistline. So try to avoid them as much as you can. You can switch to sparkling water at certain times, but try to rely exclusively on water, around 2 to 3 liters per day. So another tip to do before going to the store is to check your freezer, your pantry, and fridge to see what items you already have, so you're not buying the same thing over and over again, and to avoid food wasting. So you can use the ingredients you have at home and buy fresh ones, and try to create certain recipes every week. That way you're avoiding brainstorming every time you want to make a meal. So for example, you can make beans with rice once a week to twice a week, or you can switch to peas, can make a lentil salad. So these are stuff that you can keep at home and they're super easy to make. So by making a list before going to the store, you would avoid impulsive shopping and increasing the budget that you have at each trip. And another tip is to not shop when you're hungry. If you're going to the grocery store when you're hungry, you're going to be likely to buy things that are not on your list, and you're going to not resist the cravings, of course. You're going to be a lot of offers and things that grab our attention. So try to stick to your list as much as you can. And one thing I mentioned earlier is to buy foods like fruits and vegetables that are in season, because they're more affordable and they're not transported from other parts of the world. So that makes them a lot more affordable for you. Another thing to do at the store is to shop the perimeter of the store first. So when you're on the side of the store, you're going to find the healthier foods. Like when you go inside, that's when you're going to find the unhealthier stuff. So try to stick in the corner of the store to avoid loading your cart with unhealthy stuff. So the less expensive and nutrition-packed whole foods would be beans, peas, lentils, potatoes, eggs, canned tuna, oats, brown rice, frozen fruits and vegetables, in addition to low-fat dairy products. One extra thing I would like to mention about the Lebanese diet, like common foods that we make that are also very affordable. So we can use the falafel. Like falafel is like a very healthy, I would say, if it's not fried. Try to make the baked falafel at home if that works. That way you're eating healthy carbs and avoiding a lot of meat sources. And at the same time, it's very affordable. Try to make stews like bazalauras, which is beans with rice. You can avoid adding meat to it if you don't want. You can also do mjaddara. We have kusa. So kusa is like the zucchini stuffed with rice. You can put a small amount of meat. That way you're not really increasing your budget for each meal. And You can also make a lot of salads like tabbouleh, cabbage salad. These are also great sources of vitamins. So right now I will be taking your questions whenever you're ready. Thank you for listening.
Jess, for someone who has a sweet tooth, what would you recommend? Maybe some desserts that aren't as bad as others that are still relatively low cost.
Great, thank you, Ramzi. I would recommend having peanut butter. Peanut butter is a great way to satisfy your sweet cravings. You can add it with bananas, with an apple. It's also very filling. So if you have one apple with 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, you can have it before working out. That's really great and tastes good, and it's very affordable. I'm looking in my pantry right now to try to brainstorm. You can also have, for example, yogurt. We can have fruit in it. You can add some cereal. Like try to choose the cereal that are low in sugars, of course, not the ones that are like colorful ones with all the chocolate. That's really good. The snack. You can have dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is very healthy. Try to have 2 to 3 squares per day at most. I would recommend having like crackers also. I mean, that's not sweet, but you can add a bit of jam to it if that's something that you like. So those are top choices of snacks for if you have a sweet tooth and you're trying to stick to as many natural sources as you can.
Great, thank you.
Of course.
Jessica Nariman has written in the chat that during this period of stress and teaching online, I have a lot of stress and I throw myself on sugar. Can you give me any advice on how to eliminate sugar from my diet? Thank you in advance.
Of course, Nariman. My first tip is not to bring all these snacks to your home. So I'm sure it's really hard not to have them if they're facing you all the time. So I know that for myself because I love sweets too. So I try to buy like one snack that I really like. It's a bit sweet. That way I'm not surrounded by them at home. Especially now everyone's working from home. So it's really easy to go to the kitchen and grab something every 5 minutes. And replace them with healthier stuff. So of course, don't just avoid eating. You have to eat. However, try to eat when you're really hungry and have a specific time every day. So of course, have your breakfast. Depends what time you wake up. If you're waking up, let's say it's 6, 7 a.m., definitely you need to have breakfast. And then another snack until you have lunch. And in the afternoon, I would also recommend having another small snack and then dinner. So by dividing all of your meals that way, you're avoiding having a low blood sugar. So whenever your blood sugar ups, that's when you start really craving all of these snacks. So if you really still crave like a lot of sweet stuff, try to drink water. You can have black coffee. I don't know if you like coffee or not, but that's something I feel personally helps me with cravings. Try to have tea without sugar, of course, and something with protein. So you can either have a glass of milk with 1 fruit. You can have some yogurt, a bit of nuts, or 1 fruit. So try to have 1 to 2 fruits every day. And I would say try to eliminate sugar for a few days. The less sugar you have, the more you're going to feel in control. Because let's say if you start eating 1 chocolate bar per day, the next day you're going to crave 2. So it starts like getting more addictive. So by trying to limit the amount you're having every few days, you have an easier time controlling it. I don't know if that's something you have already tried, but I would say also try to work out, like try to get out and walk at least for 30 minutes. So by not staying at home all day long and moving more, that's something that can also help your cravings.
She says, thank you very much. And one more question. What do you think about intermittent fasting?
Great. I'm not against intermittent fasting. If it's something that you feel that's useful for you, go ahead and try it. There's nothing unhealthy about it. Sometimes it helps us control our cravings. So if you feel like you're tempted to snack all day long, by sticking to a certain time for eating, let's say between 12 noon and 6 to 7 p.m., if you're able to do it, that's great. So it depends on how long you have to be awake and how much energy you have during the day. So maybe start by doing fasting between, let's say 12 p.m. and 8 p.m., then decrease it to like 7 or 6 p.m. So, but with time, you'll be able to control it, control your cravings. And if you're not able to do it every single day, you can at least try it on days where you had, let's say, a heavy meal the night before. If you had like a heavy dinner, try to do some fasting the next day. I'm sure a lot of people have done that and they thought it was successful, and you don't need to do it every single day. It just helps you control your cravings and avoid excessive weight gain also. One thing, so I would like to add, is for when you're doing intermittent fasting, you're supposed to eat the same calories that you're having for, like, if you're eating a normal diet. So let's say if I'm eating 1,800 calories per day, I'm supposed to keep that number the same when you're doing intermittent fasting. So people think if I'm eating between 12 and 6, I can eat whatever I want. That's not true. So that way you're not really benefiting from anything. So you want to keep your calorie count the same, whether it's intermittent fasting or if it's the normal diet.
She said, thank you very much with a smile.
Of course. Thank you.
I have two questions.
Yes.
The first question is, you said about the popcorn. When you say the popcorn and the pot, cover it with a plate, you mean in water? You make the popcorn in water?
No. I mean, you can make them in the pan, the regular way that we make them. I would say avoid the microwave popcorn. That's the one I would not recommend. Yeah. Exactly. So, but some people like it air popped. Air popped is really healthy. It's lower in calories than the one that you make in the pan.
Oh, you need the machine for the air pop, no?
Yeah, I know. If you're outside, of course, eating it. But if you're at home, I would say do it at home with like a teaspoon of oil. That's completely fine.
Yeah, okay.
Like a small bowl of popcorn would give you about like 120 to 150 calories. So that's really healthy and low in calories versus eating a small bag of chips that has like about 200 calories.
No, I agree with you. But I don't count calories. I just eat more portion and then finish. I don't want to.
No, you're right. I don't count it either. Like, it's just when your body gets used to a certain amount of calories, you don't need to be counting them every day. Maybe for a few days, try to say, I'm going to have 500 calories for lunch, let's say, and the rest should be controlled. But with time, your body gets used to it. You don't need to be counting it. But if you're buying processed food, it's very important to look at the labels. Like if you're buying a chocolate bar, sometimes you don't know how many calories it has. And that's when we start, gaining unnecessary weight. So that's something it's really good to look at everything that you buy, like how much fiber it has, how many grams of protein, carbs. So these are all important to look at when you're shopping at the supermarket, because sometimes you can find the same product, but with different calories. So one chocolate bar can have 200, the other can have 120. So try to choose the one, not just with the lower calorie content, with the lower sugar content. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah. My second question, thank you. My second question is about coconut oil. So what do you think of coconut oil?
If it's good to cook with coconut oil or not?
Cook and eat it
in general.
Yeah, cook basically, because we're not going to eat it raw. I mean, some people do, but
yeah. So, I would say like coconut oil has got a lot of, it's like a fad food. Like people are like, oh, everyone's crazy about it. So I don't think it's much different than the regular oil, like especially olive oil. Olive oil is much healthier, and it contains no saturated fats the way coconut oil contains. Yeah. So you can have it like on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, but the amount should be the same. So you can't add more coconut oil than another kind of oil you would use. It has the same calories, and it's not really recommended for cooking, especially at high temperatures. So I would say sticking with olive oil for like medium heat is good. You can have canola oil for like cooking. That'd be much better. Or avocado oil. We use that here a lot too, of course. I hope you found it useful, and you can use these tips when you're shopping in the supermarket and cooking at home.
Thank you. Thank you, Jessica.
My pleasure.